last Pacific Local Government Forum in Honiara 2 years ago, and to learn from that experience of his friends around the region, and that is the outcome. We are here today, and I'd like to acknowledge the NCD in particular, for Governor, for hosting tonight as part and parcel of this process of this conference, very important conference, up until to the time that it will end. As such, Papua New Guinea is honored and privileged to be afforded the opportunity to host this very important conference here in Port Moresby and in this country. Papua New Guinea hopes to be able to showcase our local level governments and share its experience and challenges, as well as and perhaps solutions and strategies to address those challenges. We've heard quite a lot of experiences sharing today when the conference started proper at the Grand Papua or Papua Hotel, and it was interesting to know that as a new organization, or not really new organization, but starting from where it used to be a simple local level government associations in past years, it come to a situation where now the voices of those urban local level governments and the special challenges that they have at the bottom line, where the people are being heard by the Commonwealth, as well as other forums in the South Pacific. As I've said earlier on today, that we all South Pacific people come from the various sovereignty, and it's binded in those sovereignty certain agreements, bilateral agreements that we've had in the South Pacific, and those are very important. Also to acknowledge, for example, we've got our local organization, or the South Pacific organization, like the South Pacific Forum, and we've got the MSZ, and of course you've got the smaller states, islands forum, as well as the other bigger forum that the head of government speaks about the common interest of the regions, and we've heard some of those experiences expressed by the Prime Minister of Tuvalu. My ministry, coming back to Papua New Guinea, through the Department of Provincial and Local Level Government, with responsibilities amongst others to support the provincial government system and local level government in this country. And the organic law on provincial government and local level governments are a very piece of very, very effective legislation that is enforced by this department, my department, to make sure that the functions of the framework of the provincial government system that we have here, as well as the local level governments. And when we talk about local level governments, it's actually the urban local level governments that are merely based in the Yohoban setting, as well as the rural local level governments in this country. Papua New Guinea experience, we have over 300 local level governments. And in those, there are urban local level governments, and as I've said, rural local level governments where the peoples are. There are 6,000 also elected leaders that represent those villages around the country of 7 million people in that system, where it is commonly referred to as the bottom line, where the communities are. 6,000 of those, as well as we call them ward members, but we call them also presidents of local level government. When this law was introduced, just before or after independence, actually there's quite a number of changes that took place. And in 1995, another change was made in relation to the organic law, which actually is enforced by this department to look after this framework and the system of these local level governments. We find out that it has not been effective enough in order to meet the requirement and the satisfaction of the people in those local level governments. The capacity, as we've said, is some of those problems that we have, and the support for good governance at that level also it's very important. And in fact, from the national government's level, it's emphasized on the decentralization process that must take place in the process that is going on in this country. And the support for good governance at that level also it's very important. And in fact, from the national government's level, it's emphasized on the decentralization process that must take place in the process that is going on in this country. My department supports the capacity building and strengthened relationship between the national and provincial governments and the local level governments to improve the service delivery. At the end of the day, as we gather here today and in many other conferences in the country and elsewhere in the South Pacific, we tend to say that we represent the majority of those people that are unrepresented. But I go further than that, and in support of the Prime Minister of Tuvalu's saying that the resources is owned by the people, the community is owned by the people, and I go to say further that even the politicians are owned by the people. So politicians should really be real representation of the people they represent at those levels of the community. PNG has involved in the former good practice scheme, and which is considered a worthwhile program, which indeed helped the Six Sisters City Partnership in Australia. And I would like to acknowledge those countries that have sister relationship with some of our urban local level governments in this country. For example, in Mount Argon, we've got the Orange local level, urban local level government, New South Wales, Port Moresby, and Townsville in Queensland, Hallertau, which is one of our major towns in our minor towns in the southern region, and Sunshine Coast, Queensland, Madang and Adelaide, Salisbury and Campbelltown, South Australia, Kokopo, which is in East New Britain, and Mount Baker in South Australia, Goroka and Hunter Group. Those are the relationship that has been well established, and I'm very thankful on behalf of those towns that they've got certain agreement, that they're achieving some exchanges of ideas and are progressive in that way. The Commonwealth Local Level Government Good Practice Scheme, CLG GPS, which was launched in 1998, is largely designed to support the implementation of focused projects based on the exchange of good governance. Primarily, the scheme focuses on capacity building through using an innovative partnership approach to help councils improve efficiency of service delivery and local democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commonwealth Local Level Government Good Practice Scheme, Papua New Guinea, Australia, GPS, was operating in this country from 2002 to 2012, a period of 10 years. When the OSA decided to review the program broadly, the goal of the scheme was to promote effective, responsive, and accountable delivery of local authority services, particularly to poor and disadvantaged communities, and at the same time identifying examples of good practice for application elsewhere. And its purpose is to improve planning, management performance, and the implementation capacity of local authorities in the target countries and beyond. Papua New Guinea, through PLGA, believe that the GPS scheme has the real potential to deliver on the goals and objectives of the national and local level government policies. The experience gained over the years from the Papua New Guinea GPS and other similar schemes elsewhere tells us that the partnership approach is very effective in improving service delivery. Cost, however, remained the prohibiting factor. And during the life of the last GPS scheme, Papua New Guinea saw 6 partnerships being formed between Papua New Guinea urban local level governments and Australian local level government councils to improve waste management services, planning capacity, environmental service, regulatory processes, women's skills, accounting and revenue services, and ICT, which is very important, tourism, promotion, township, landscaping, and beautification. And the main focus of the O'Neill Dion government is to strengthen and empower districts and local level government. Consequently, the government last year declared the 2013 should be the implementation here, and allocated $500,000 kina to respective local level governments, in this country. It is also at the same time directed that all government departments and agencies to develop 3 major impact projects to be funded under the 2013 national budget. The directive saw my department aligning all of its program to the national government's directives, with emphasis being directed at the given to districts and local level governments. Also, my department has identified the following major impact project to be implemented during the period 2013-2015. Development of minimum standards for districts and local level government, compliance audit, profiling, organic law review, and increase in the monthly allowances for local level government leaders in this country. My department also requires a new GPS, which goes under the label of Work Proman, to bring on board another 20 urban local level governments in addition to the current 6 urban local level government partnerships, with the view of taking it down further to the rural local level governments level. The new extension of the GPS or Work Proman coincide with the introduction and implementation of the minimum standard policy initiative. In total, there are, as I've alluded to earlier, 318 local level governments in this country, 28 of which are urban local level governments, and the rest are 290 rural local level governments. This is a mammoth undertaking and will require careful planning, and as well as a major funding support. The department, or my department, has correctly stipulated that tackling the districts and local level government would require strategic and gradual approach. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, as alluded to earlier, the main constraint relating to Work Proman GPS is the cost involved. With the changes in the Australian Development Aid Policy, there is still no word with respect to the future of the scheme. There is a lot of interest relating to the GPS proposal to implement the GPS scheme in Kiribati, Vanuatu, and the Solomon Islands, submitted to Australian aid 2 years ago, were not supported for one reason or another. In the events, Papua New Guinea is determined to find innovative ways to strengthen and empower districts and local level government to deliver effective and efficient service to local communities, and that is our mandate. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all a successful and fruitful outcome of the conference, for all our countries to take back all the best practices that will be shared over the next few days of the conference. Thank you and God bless.